Good morning, everyone. Oh, I love that gavel. Welcome to our Board of Supervisors board meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025, and we're going to kick it off by a flag salute by Supervisor Landon.
Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, I guess we're going to begin. Our first item is our ceremonial administration of the oath of office of the incoming supervisors. And we want to welcome Ryan Ronco and Judge Panesci. Oh, okay.
I'll bring him in.
Okay.
I was just here to tell jokes.
Step on up then. Well, good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's doing good.
You're welcome to sit down.
No, she's talking about the audience. They like to line the
We would
walls.
bring the three down. What we've historically done is just done it right here in front of the podium.
Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing today? Come up there.
Sure. Okay. So, you would each raise your right hand, please. And repeat after me.
I,
State your name.
Suzanne Jones,
Do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear
That I will support and defend.
that I will support and defend
The Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California
Against all enemies.
against all enemies,
Foreign and domestic.
foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith.
that I will bear true faith
And allegiance.
and allegiance
To the Constitution of the United States.
to the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California,
That I take this obligation freely.
that I take this obligation freely
Without any mental reservation.
without any mental reservation
Or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion,
And that I will well and faithfully.
and that I will well and faithfully
Discharge the duties.
discharge the duties
Upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to go on to item number 2. Do I have a nomination for chair?
I would like to make a motion to nominate Supervisor Bonnie Gore as our chair for 2025.
I will second that.
Okay, then I'm also going to take a motion for the vice chair.
And I will secondarily motion Supervisor Shanti Landon as the vice chair for 2025.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
Okay, very good. So before we vote on this, I'd like to ask any members of the public would like to step up and make any comments today? Okay. Ooh, we're, please, come on now.
For what? On just this item? Nothing else?
Yeah, just this item is all we're going to comment
Just-
about.
I want to congratulate, on behalf of Assemblyman Patterson, newly elected Supervisor DiMattei, and then also re-elected Suzanne Jones, Supervisor Suzanne Jones, and Supervisor Gustafson. So,
Great.
congratulations, and thank you guys for what you guys do for the community.
Thank you very much for that. Anyone online? Oh, no? Okay, well, we'll go ahead on We can take both motions at one time. So all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Congratulations to our new chair and vice chair. Okay, so the ceremonial changing of the seats.
And Supervisor Jones, as we change our seats, I wanted to say thank you on behalf of the board for serving as chair this past year. You've done a very good job. It's always a challenge to serve as chair because you really have to be on and you have so many extra meetings. And you have to make sure we are all working together. So thank you for your hard work. And with that, I want to present to you this plaque of commendation. Thank you so much, Suzanne.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
buddy. Thank you. I can rip it off and just whack it anytime I feel like it.
And she loves gavels,
Right?
as we've learned. So that is, that's fun.
Thank you all. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
And before we move into the consent agenda, what I'd like to do first is I'd like to give my colleagues who have been elected and re-elected just an opportunity to address each of us. So I'm going to kick it off with you, Anthony, our newest supervisor. We are really pleased that you are here joining us.
Well, first, I'd like to thank everybody for their support. I am honored to be here to represent my district, and I do look forward to working with everybody. And so thank you very much for all your support. So thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate that. And Supervisor Jones, any comments from you?
I would like to also thank everyone for their confidence in me and re-electing me this year. And really excited because it was a win in the primary with the 62% over 2 opponents. So I'm really excited about that. I want to thank all of you for your support that you gave me and your endorsements as well. It went a long way. I just can't thank you enough.
And Supervisor Gustafson.
Thank you. Well, looking out around the room, I am so honored and humbled to get to work with everybody out there, especially those of you standing in the back, all of our elected officials, our sheriff, our fire chief, our undersheriff, many others, our clerk of the recorder, and voter register of voters. I'll get it right. Our treasurer, is Andy in here too? But what incredible, and our district attorney, what an incredible staff we have at Placer County dedicated to working for the constituents. And I think those of us who are honored and humbled by the support of our constituents know that our job is endless in the issues that we try to face and address for our community. And I am honored to work with all of you because I know our intentions are to continue to make the very best decisions for our constituents. So thank you for being here and all the hard work we do together.
Thank you, Supervisor Gustafson. Before we move to the consent agenda, I would like to invite up Don Proctor. Don is the Director of City Pastors Fellowship, and I would just like to ask him, I've known him for many years. He's been a pastor at the church that I attend. He's not the pastor currently, but I would like to ask him to just open us up in a word of prayer as we move forward in 2025. So Don, if you would come forward.
Amen. Honored to be here. We just bow our heads. God, we just thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to stand in the roles. As I look at the people before me, Lord, I believe that they will be the greatest fans for one another, that they would support and pray for each other through difficult times, God. And I know your word says that the heart of a leader is in God the Father. And Lord, I just thank you for what you're doing in their lives as they help make decisions over our land that are difficult at times, and not everybody approves. But God, you help them to give them wisdom and give them revelation in a moment that could change everything. Because we know, God, it's not just the decisions they make now, but it's for the future and for our children's children. So God, I thank you for protecting them, watching over them. I thank you for all the people and the county officials that they serve and support and keep things going, God, that they would all be in unity together. Because this is a difficult thing being in this office, and we need all the help that we can get, and it does take an army. So we just pray for this support. We pray for just covering and peace over them and all that they do. We even speak over their families. We pray blessing over their families and the decisions they make with them too, because they make sacrifices to be here and the things that they do. So God, we thank you and we just honor you. We're just believing for a great new year of opportunities, new relationships, gaining ground, and seeing a greater community be built out. That God, that people would look upon Placer County and say, man, that's a different county. There's something great going on there. So we thank you, God, for helping all these city officials and all that they do and all the decisions that they make to make this a better place, to meet the needs of the people, and to better serve one another, to see this thing happen in a great way. So we thank you, we honor you, God, and we know your blessing is upon this greater Placer County and our greater region. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Don. Appreciate that. All right, now it's time to do business. We are going to go ahead with the consent agenda. And then if those of you will do the consent agenda, if any of you need to sneak out, that's all right. But this is an opportunity where we are going to take items with one single roll call vote. Do any of my colleagues want to remove any item from the consent agenda? All right, and anyone in the public like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Mr. Garabedian, good morning.
Good morning, thank you. Mike Garabedian, Placer County tomorrow. And there are 3 items. Let's see here. Okay, 15A, the county election results. 18A, legislative advocacy, and 22B, conflict of interest.
Thank you. You know, Suzanne, would you mind handing me the revised agenda, or one of them? Thank you, because I have the wrong one. So would you repeat those for me, Mr. Garabedian? I'm sorry.
Yes, 15A, the election report, and 18A, legislative advocacy, lobbyists, and 22B, conflict of interest.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to move anything from the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, I will ask for a motion.
If anybody's online.
Oh, is there anyone online?
Let me just check. Cheryl, are your comments related to pulling an item from consent, or are you waiting to give public comment?
They are. Unfortunately, I don't happen to see it in front of me, but I'd like to discuss the item for the minutes. Is this in the right place?
The item, you want to remove the item
We
regarding?
don't have minutes on this agenda.
Well, I guess then I'd like to ask why it's not on the agenda. I couldn't find it, but it's usually as an attachment, all the minutes that are being approved by the board.
There are none on this agenda for approval, which is why there are none attached.
And so hopefully it's clear, Cheryl, we don't actually approve minutes every single meeting. Usually the chair or the clerk puts them sometimes several meetings at once. So if you're looking for a certain set of meeting minutes, it might be on the next agenda.
I have one that says December 17th. It's from Megan Wood. Action requested approved from October 8th through November 19th, 2024.
That was approved at the last board meeting. You're looking
Okay,
at the
thank you.
agenda for December.
Thank you. Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you,
No worries.
Cheryl. Appreciate it. All right, so seeing no other items to be removed from the consent agenda, I will take a motion, please.
I'll move the remaining items.
I'll second.
A motion by Supervisor Gustafson, second by Jones. Roll call, please.
Landon?
Yes.
DiMattei?
Yes.
Jones?
Aye.
Gustafson?
Aye.
Gore?
Aye. All right, thank you. Then we will move to item 15A, which is, well, I'm glad our clerk recorder did not leave, which is the general election results from November 5th, 2024. And maybe before you just take the item, since we know what this is, Mr. Garabedian, you had a question? Why don't we just go ahead and open it up to the public for your question, and then we can have him respond.
Michael Garabedian, actually, I have more of a statement about it than a comment on it than a question.
Okay, well, I'll just let you go ahead and make the statement, and then If there's any response needed, we can do that.
Thank you. Well, Michael Garabedian, Placer County tomorrow. And I want to note that this vote had the second defeat of the effort to raise the sales tax to fund Placer Parkway, et cetera, et cetera. And there were several important leaders of that who have left the county since then, and I want to acknowledge that they helped to lay a foundation for the defeat again. And some of those people are a real loss to the community that they left for whatever reasons they did. So the county leadership has been affected by that. And if the county is going to keep pursuing that thing forever and ever, it's going to continue to affect the leadership in ways that's hard to predict, of course. So the Placer County Transportation Planning Agency had some detailed studies, constant surveys of the people over and over to see where they were and where this was going. And it was not clear that it was going to pass. There was certainly the possibility. The reports, by the way, I thought were really well done and excellent to somebody, whether you opposed it or supported it, to know what was going on. I don't know they were fully presented to the board, but nonetheless, that is something that for 8 years has stymied real transportation needs for this county, because adding capacity does not relieve congestion. It's a typical old-fashioned supply and demand. You create more supply, it fills in immediately. We can see what's going on right now. So there's a critical transportation need to provide for transportation with all these people moving into these major developments you're approving, willy-nilly, the county is approving, that are headed for inconceivably bad transportation and inadequate transportation. And if the county keeps hanging on that thing and going after it, and the developers keep pouring money into trying to win a vote, you are going to continue to create a bad situation for the county with all kinds of things that could be predicted, that when people are living in a bad situation where they can't get anywhere when they want to go. So I hope this will be the second and last time the county will try to go with this, and we'll get more specific and address the broader need to develop whatever needs to be done besides widening 65 and the other mistakes that are being made. So anyway, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Garabedian.
wasn't asking for a response.
That's understandable. I appreciate that. And nobody else, either online or in person, wants to make a comment on this item? All right. And I don't think you necessarily, unless you want to make a comment, Mr.
I was
Pompeo.
hoping that Mr. Garabedian was going to say congratulations on a successful election. That's what I was hoping for. But it was a very successful election, and we're very happy to have conducted it for the people of Placer County. So thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ryan. Appreciate that. And so with that, I'm happy to take a motion for item 15A.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Supervisor Jones, second by Gustafson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Also like to thank you for a very successful, wonderfully smooth operation.
Thank you.
And I love the voting centers.
Oh, thank you.
They're my favorite.
Yeah, me too. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Next, we'll move to item 18A that has been removed. And this is Placer County Legislative Advocacy Contracts. And why don't we do what we just did? Well, Joel, come on up. This time, we will let you present, and then Mr. Garabedian can ask any question he has. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, members of your board, Daniel Karen, Joel Joyce of the County Executive Office. Item 18A on the consent agenda is asking for approval for 2 legislative contracts that were as part of the process for an RFP number 20552 for both federal advocacy service, which is anticipated to be awarded to Holland and Knight LLP, and state advocacy service, which is anticipated to be awarded to Shaw, Yoder, Antwi, Schmelzer, and Lang. As I mentioned earlier, this is a result of an RFP conducted in last year. It's the first time this board has gone out for an RFP for state and federal advocacy services in quite some time. While both Holland and Knight and Shaw, Yoder, Antwi were the only firms that actually submitted proposals, there were, I think, 5 to 6 other firms that registered to possibly submit. Unfortunately, those firms chose not to submit for whatever reason. In negotiating with Holland and Knight and Shaw, Yoder, Antwi, Schmelzer, and Lang, contracts are the same cost as the previous 2 years, and in fact, Holland and Knight lowered their cost by about $20. So effectively the same price as the previous 2 years contract. With that, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Joel. Any questions from my colleagues? All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to public comment. Mr. Garabedian?
Thank you. Michael Garabedian, Placer County Tomorrow. Well, there are some things in your legislative agenda that I've agreed with and others I don't. And of course, this is an opportunity to bring up the hard work you're doing to raise money for building Highway 65 and so forth, the same transportation thing, very similar that's on the ballot. And this is, I don't think that's a good use of your time and effort to keep promoting that when you need to have a broader program that I've just addressed on the other item. So I think that's my main concern about this, the extent to which you're using them to promote state and federal taxpayer funds for this bad project. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on this item? All right, and nobody online, Megan? All right, I'll bring it back to the board. Yes.
I just had a comment. I wanted to thank Joel and the team for putting out the request for proposals. I know it's been quite a while, and I'm glad there were some other firms that at least dipped their toe in the water, but maybe determined not to submit proposals. But I think it's always good to make sure that we're following protocols and making a competitive process for services, professional services like this. So thank you for the effort that went into the process.
Yes, thank you. Supervisor Jones?
I'm ready for the motion.
All right, I don't think we had don't have a response. All right, great. So if there's no other conversation, happy to have you make a motion.
Okay, I move approval.
I'll second. All right, so we have a motion by Supervisor Jones, second by Supervisor Landon. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And then the next item that was pulled is item 22B, which is under procurement. It is the update procurement policy to include organizational conflict of interest. And I have no idea whose item that is. And somebody's going to tell me, is this person online? All right, so John Manning will address this for us.
All right, good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
My name is John Manning. I'm your purchasing manager. Oops, I'm sorry, let me get my video started here. All right, hi. Yeah, so I'm your purchasing manager. This item in particular is to update the county procurement policy to include an organizational conflict of interest, along with some minor edits to other sections. The organizational conflict of interest is required to satisfy California Public Contract Code Section 22162C as well as 22171.5, and the organizational conflict of interest policy will pave the way for the county to prepare and release a progressive design build project for the Tahoe Justice Center improvement and upgrade project that the Department of Facilities Management had previously presented to your board towards the end of last year. So really, we're just putting administrative steps in place to facilitate that competitive process for the Tahoe Justice Center upgrade. So with that, the action requested today is to approve updates to the procurement policy to make minor edits to sections 2.0, 3.3, 3.4, 4.1, 9.0, and to modify section 11.0 to include an organizational conflict of interest policy for design build and progressive design build projects. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John, appreciate that. Any questions from my colleagues? Then I will open it up to public comment. Mr. Garabedian?
Madam Chair and Supervisors, thank you for this opportunity to ask for the clarification and explanation. I appreciated it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from the public or online?
No, online.
All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to our board for action.
I'll move approval.
A motion by Supervisor Gustafson, second by Supervisor Jones. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we will move on to public comment, and this is an opportunity for people to address the board on items that are not on our agenda. So I will ask those of you in person to come on up. If you would state your name. You'll have no more than 3 minutes to make your comments, and if anybody else wants to step up behind Leslie, you are welcome to do so.
Okay. I do have something for you, and also Supervisor Cindy and Supervisor Shanty. Leslie Davison. I'm giving these to you because it pertains to the meeting that we are having on the 22nd with with your Bridget and Christina, correct? Yes, okay. One of the things that I had wanted to talk about was in December, there was a lot of discussion about the NPOs and the treatment centers and that sort of thing, and the financial aspect of this. And the first thing that I want to talk about is with Christina. I had heard that Amy said she was going to spend down some of the extra money that she had. And so I had contacted her and let her know that I knew a woman who has worked with the homeless people for probably 30 years. She just recently got a 501c3. And I said some of that spend down money, maybe she could get $5,000 out of that spend down money instead of buying, like a chair or whatever you buy when you have to spend down the money. And so we kind of went back and forth a little bit about that, and I'm not understanding why she can't get that money for socks, sleeping bags, food, etc. It just didn't make sense to me. So I just want to put that out there, and that's what I gave you is Laura's information and what she would like to have if she could have that $5,000, which she would give you receipts to the penny. So you would know where every bit of that money was being spent, that spend down money. The other thing is, with these facilities, it seems like we're giving them an awful lot of money, like $20 million, $610,000, $2 million, without any criteria mentioned as to what is going to happen with these people when they come into treatment. What is their discharge criteria? And we do have Prop 36, which now does require that felons go into treatment. So how is that going to be handled with these NPOs? That's another question that I have. And the last thing that I wanted to mention was, and I had been online and raised my hand, and somehow I didn't get called on, and I did call the people at the desk because there's a problem with not being called on. One of the sheriffs came up here and talked about being a sanctuary state, a sanctuary county. I know, Bonnie. Here we are again. I'm sorry.
We're not a sanctuary county.
Well, see, I wasn't real clear about that. And I was wondering if maybe the sheriff or somebody could come and maybe clarify what's going to happen if ICE wants to come and get people out of jail. I wasn't real clear about that, and I think maybe some other people were not either. And I read some of the documents that were online, and I still didn't really understand what he was talking about when he said that they had just a little over 124 people, but they gave ICE, they allowed ICE to take 22 of them or something, but then they let the rest go. That was my understanding.
So I'll let you finish your comment.
Okay.
And then I'm sure we can have your supervisor follow up and connect you with the sheriff's office.
Yeah, if we could, because I really wasn't quite and obviously it's a big controversial issue. So the last thing that I think I want to say is when I come to the meeting with your assistance, tomorrow I'm going to bring over some more information that I would like to have when we come to the meeting as far as criteria for entering those facilities, discharge on those facilities, where those people are going to go once they are discharged from those facilities, a few other things. So I'll bring those over tomorrow, and I'll give them to you. So.
Great, thank you.
Oh, I can give them directly to you? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, supervisors.
Good morning.
Married to her. My name is Pete Davison, and it's good to be here. And congratulations for those of you who prevailed in the elections. Those are always fun, interesting, and revealing. That race of yours was interesting, to say the least. Kept checking, and the results kept changing, and I've already used 20 seconds here talking about that. Placer County election results. Nationally, President-elect Trump, 52.7, Harris, 44.2, Garvey in Placer County, again, 57, Schiff, 43, Kevin Kiley, our congressperson, is 58.3, Jessica Morris, 41.7, Joe Patterson, and this was probably about 90% of the votes cast for Assembly in District 5, 60.8, almost as much as you there. That's impressive. Parker, 39.15, the point being the majority of voters in Placer County, not telling anybody anything they don't know in this room, this is what would be classified as a red county. And we are looking to get representation that follows that. And we're in a very strange situation that we live in a very blue state. 60-odd%. I've talked to Patterson before, and he said it's a real show down there, and not a good one all the time. What my wife was talking about is very much of interest to me because it seems to be shut down by our governor. There was a bill that was passed and got on his desk in September, and he did not want a deep forensic audit of $24 billion. And that, I believe, is a correct number, not an exaggeration, between 2019 and 2024. Now, pertains to Placer County, I'm not exactly sure what our budget or our number is, but I did some math on this, and that's about $40,000 per year per person. Because if you're extrapolating that down from 170 to 180,000 so-called homeless, I have no idea how you do a census on homeless. I really don't. That's a moving target, to say the least. She did a good job on the how does money get allocated, what are the requirements. One thing I do know about people who are homeless, you can certainly see many of them are substance fueled, and you don't even know if they have mental health issues until the substances are gone. And it takes time to get the substances gone. And the accountability of that is very difficult because I know substance abuse counselors will tell you they're not told the truth oftentimes in follow-up. So here you are grasping at straws trying to figure out things. So what I am requesting, why I'm bringing up national information, I would really like a rigorous supervision of the money that is spent. I think we tend to get enamored by people's care and efforts more than their results, and this is a results issue. It really is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else in the public like to make a public comment? All right, seeing none. Anyone online, Megan?
Yes, Chair. Desiree, go ahead and unmute your mic and give your comments.
Hello, my name is Desiree Hennessy. I'm a proud Placer County resident of over 35 years. My comments today are regarding the Housing Element Amendment draft, which was just released in December 2024. I want to thank the Planning Department and the Board of Supervisors for listening to my comments that I've been submitting over the past 7 months regarding HE 52 that has to do with the large site development. The draft changes in the wording now make it very clear that HE 52 is applicable only to the 4 large sites, 0, 0, 0, 26, and 34. I do still have a couple requests, however, for further clarification in HE 52 so that the communities impacted by any development will receive proper notifications. HE 52, as currently written, states there will be high priority processing and an expedited review process, which is not detailed out clearly. So I went into Placer County Planning Code to try to get a better understanding of what that means, but I've not been very successful in obtaining what I think is the current one. I found something back from 2015. My biggest concern is that this stated approach would provide for little or no notification to impacted neighboring parcels. So I'd like to request more information about what this approach, the expedited review process, would entail, and also request that we ensure that it provides for written notification to all neighboring and impacted parcels. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else, Megan?
Yes. Cheryl, go ahead and unmute your mic and give your comments.
Good morning. Thank you, Megan. And I did find the date for the minutes. My concern for the minutes was that some of them are 3 months old. I think it's a disservice to the public to not understand how things were voted on for 3 months without going to a set of videos and watching them. I actually did want to talk about the housing element amendment also. And my concern is about, number one, the website, which is great that it was put out there for it was released by planning, and it had to do with attachment F, which was all the public comments and their responses to them. My concern about the website is that it states sources, and the sources are, they're not ratified or codified, a lot of the things that are out there. So it makes it seem like they're actually approved, and they're not, which is misleading. So the sources should be, and there's things like sources, staff notes. Those are not sources. I think the appropriate documents should be listed with the date that the board approved them. One of the amendments there were 3 different separate board meetings. Those should be versioned, not all collapsed together, because it makes it look like one action, and it was not. I'd like to talk about HE 9, which was the what I'm calling the public subsidy of private projects. I'd like to go on record that this is authorizing grants for upgrades of sewers based on a piecemeal approach to planning. This is what caused this upgrade requirement, at least for the sewers in Penryn and Granite Bay. So these rezones, we don't have orderly development if all of a sudden our sewers are failing. And all the rezones that have put, for example, in Granite Bay, the rezones now are being placed on top of the things that the board's already approved. Someone needs to be keeping track of our sewer upgrades, and the cost should be known ahead of time. So I'd like to know from Supervisor Jones, from Director Pahuli, and Clayton Cook. I will put this in writing, but I'd like to know what specific statutes and state mandates authorize the gifting of tax dollars to private development due to the actual poor performance in orderly development and not maintaining our community plans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Diane, go ahead and unmute your mic and give your comments.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. Diane Louise Alessi from Christian Valley Park Community Services District and nearly 60 years in Placer County. Y'all wouldn't know what to do if I didn't call in, so I'm calling in. I want to hopefully have a new year, because it's not an election year and everybody's not focused on that, to focus on legislative pieces for veto referendums to start removing the perpetual thorns in our side in regards to the state pushing these arena mandates on us. And we're so far into RENA 6 cycle for its completion, the other one's going to be on top of us. I think a lot could be saved this county if home rule is reinstated. I've said many times, you can do a conditional acceptance through legal to prove it's a statewide concern, and is every area of the state really a statewide concern. We have huge hurdles to get over in terms of the low and now acutely low income levels that are going to be in RENA 7. If we don't get our home rule back, we're just going to get steamrolled over, and it's essentially builder's remedy anyway, because you're already kowtowing to the state and not the constituents, especially of Placer County, who wish to maintain their ag rural flavor. And then I would like to jump off as a director for Christian Valley Park Community Services District. I'm aware of the large parcel that Placer County Unified wants to put up for sale, and we're already getting those inquiries about it. And they would need to annex in our water system. We don't have that capacity. I'm putting you all on notice right now. There's no way we could do that without a whole nother storage capacity, and not to mention, a buy-in. So just putting it out there, I don't want to get going again like we did on the Florence project, where we were just added on as annexed needed. Our board needs to be notified. I'm notifying you that that's going to be mandatory, that especially when you're also doing projects out on 49, if you're going to issue permits for huge deposits of landfill, our board should be notified so we can notify and have answers for our constituents as to why they're being abused. So with that, I would like to wish us all a lot of referendums and reversals of bad laws going forward. And thank you very much. I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. Anyone else, Megan?
No further commenters.
All right, we're going to go ahead and close public comment. Appreciate everyone's comments, and move to any additional board member and county executive reports. Any reports from my colleagues? Supervisor Landon.
I just wanted to say welcome to Supervisor DiMattei. Happy to have you here, and that's it. Happy 2025.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And Supervisor Gustafson.
Well, I've got to ditto that and then tell you that at our December meeting of TRPA, I concluded my 2.5 years as chair. So I'm refreshed to be spending more time on county business, but did want to let you know that you're receiving, I think, quite a few letters regarding Homewood and the Tahoe Inn, and happy to discuss that with any of you. It's first going to TRPA, I believe, in February, related to the public access of the ski area, and that's what's in contention there. And according to Chris Bahuli, our planning director, we will hear it. We will potentially, he has to make a decision on conformity or not to the plan they've already submitted, and we may hear it subsequent to that. But it's a ways off before it comes back to the Board of Supervisors, if it comes back. But at TRPA, we'll be hearing it in February. So happy to discuss it further with any of you. The language is very nuanced as to public access and who's public, who's a guest of the resort, who, it's a level of detail that I've never seen in public policy discussion, a very unique process. So we'll see how it goes.
Thank you for the update.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. And Supervisor Jones?
Yes, first of all, congratulations, Anthony. Congratulations, Cindy. And welcome aboard. We're anxious, and it's good to have you on board with us, although we missed Jim already. He's sitting out there joining us today. And then the other thing I wanted to say was to thank my constituents especially. Thanks to all of you who have been so supportive for my year as board chair. We went through 3 very contentious topics this past year with Rena Rezone and Palisades and the ranch. But I just wanted to say how courteous all of you were to me as the board chair, and you're wonderful constituents, and I think you're really great. And thank all of you too for your support, CEO and county council, as well as the board members. And congratulations, Bonnie and Shanti, on your chairmanships. That's going to be wonderful. So before I go, though, I do want to mention one thing. I have a letter here from the Board of State and Community Corrections, and it came to me as board chair, is the reason that I have it. And it is addressing Marshall Hopper, Chief Probation Officer. And it is regarding the 2023-24 unannounced inspection, Welfare and Institutions Code, Sections 209 and 885, Placer County Probation Department Detention Facilities. Says, Dear Chief Hopper, an unannounced inspection of the Placer County Probation Department was completed for the following facilities on Monday, November 4th. Placer Juvenile Detention Facility, and then the Placer Secure Youth Treatment Facility. These inspections were conducted pursuant to Welfare and Institution Codes to determine compliance with the minimum standards for juvenile detention facilities as outlined in Title 15 and 24. Inspection results. The focus of the unannounced inspections to evaluate 5 Title V regulations. To ensure compliance with Title 15, we reviewed documentation for the following regulations: suicide prevention plan, separation, room confinement, use of force, and grievance procedure. We identified no items of non-compliance, which means congratulations, because you're in full compliance. And the reason I'm reading this is because it's important to me, very important to me, that our constituents know of some of the really important tasks that the county, that we're responsible for, that people don't know about, because you guys, you never stand up and take the kudos that you all really deserve. And so I want them to know of those responsibilities and know what an excellent job you and your staff, Chief Hopper, have done. And congratulations, job well done. That does it for me.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Supervisor Jones. We really do appreciate the hard work that Chief Hopper and his team do day in and day out. All right, so with that, nothing from our CEO, and we will move to our 9:30 timed item, which is our District Attorney, the Victim Witness Assistance Program. Good morning, Mr. Geyer.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy New Year. I will echo the congratulations to Supervisor Jones, Supervisor Gustafson, and Supervisor DiMattei. Wonderful to see you. Congratulations to you all, and congratulations to our new chair and vice chair. Let me just start by echoing the comments that Supervisor Jones made about our wonderful probation department, Chief Hopper, Assistant Chief Brian Passenheim. They run a very good shop. We are very lucky in Placer County to have such dedicated partners, and those of us in public safety are very fortunate to be able to have the best of the best in our county. So while that letter was very pleasing to hear, it was not surprising in the least to hear those findings. I will be brief today. I'm here to request this board to adopt a resolution ratifying the Placer County DA's office submission of the grant application to the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services for the Victim Witness Assistance Program and execution of the grant agreement in the amount of $613,000 and $613,700. That's a tough number for me this morning. $613,745 for the period of October 1, 2024 through September 30th, 2025, and authorize the Placer County District Attorney to sign amendments not to exceed $61,375, and all resulting documentation including reports and certifications with County Council on Risk Management concurrence. This is the Victim Witness Program grant that supports about 7 of our victim advocates, and anytime I have an opportunity to come and talk about the work that our victim advocates do in our office, I jump at the opportunity. These are the lifeline between those who are traumatized by being immersed into some of the worst moments of their life and find themselves in the criminal justice system. This is their connection. These are the people, the quiet heroes in our office who make this system less sterile, less confusing, less frightening, and they do it in a way in a way with grace and compassion. When people are thrust into some of the worst moments of their life and find themselves now in need of relocation, in need of reimbursement, in need of counseling services, in need of all of the things that happen to you when you are the victim of a crime, you just say, what happens next? What do I do now? And our victim advocates are the people that answer that question. They are the shoulder, they are the lifeline, they are the connection to those much needed services so that they can try and return some degree of normalcy to their life in the face of those horrific circumstances that they face. Our advocates are divided by crime type as subject matter experts, everything from domestic violence to child abuse to sexual assault to DUI and vehicular fatalities and injuries. We have victim advocates that work with our multidisciplinary interview center in performing child forensic exams, as well as on our PROTECT, our elder abuse task force. They are phenomenal heroes in our office who work quietly day in and day out to bring some normalcy in a very complicated world in criminal justice. And I will just highlight a few of the pressure points for our advocates. We're always busy. They always have a full caseload. They always have a lot of families that they are working with. And as the criminal justice system grows increasingly complex, as the opportunities for review of convictions become more widespread each year with the legislature, our advocates find themselves spending as much time after a case has been completed as they do on the front end. We frequently have our advocates attend, or we always have our advocates attend our parole and lifer hearings when people are seeking to be released from prison. And with the passage of Prop 57 a number of years ago, we see the early release of inmates with almost regular unpredictability in terms of when release hearings are going to be conducted, and these advocates are the ones that provide that guidance to our families and our victims of crime. So I always appreciate an opportunity to talk about the good work they do. I would appreciate your support of this resolution so we can continue to fund almost half of our program with, or just over half of our program with our advocates with this Cal OES money. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or get out of your way and let you get on with the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, Morgan. Any questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I will open this up to the public. Am I not on?
There are
No, you're on.
but
We just
there are
both had comments.
There are comments?
Yeah, from us.
Oh, right, it's been 5 years. All
Back in the driver's seat.
There we go. All right, we'll start with Supervisor Jones.
I want to thank you also, Morgan, for a great job that you guys do as well. I know it's nice for us to have an opportunity to let all of our constituents see the hard work that you all do and to realize how much you do for the communities. And congratulations, I'm happy to support this, as always.
Thank you. Supervisor Landon.
Thank you. I just also wanted to say thank you to you and to your team, and just as you said, the work that the victims advocates do is just so important, and we truly appreciate the hard work that they do. It's often a thankless job, and I'm sure incredibly emotionally draining. So please send our thanks to them. For all
I shall. Thank you very much.
Supervisor Gustafson.
Well, ditto those comments, Morgan. I just had a technical question. It seems interesting to me that it's Cal OES that issues grants for this service. I'm glad they do, and I'm glad your staff is on it and gets it and supports this invaluable program, but that seems an odd mix to me.
It's a broader umbrella than the title of Cal OES would suggest, but they are the ones that frequently and most predominantly provide the grant opportunities for our victim services. So there are a number of grants in our office that fall under the umbrella of Cal OES. I will say victimization is an emergency. It's a daily emergency in our office. That is sort of the way of life for us. But it is a little counterintuitive, but we'll take the money wherever we can find it.
Well, and I'm so thankful that you do pursue all these various opportunities, even if I don't begin to understand all the various sources that you put together to provide better service to our communities.
I will not take credit. We have wonderful creative minds in our office that search all over the place to find ways that we can maximize our county dollars and use our state dollars efficiently as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Jones.
Yeah, I wanted to mention as well, all those years that I was on the Older Adult Advisory Commission and have worked with your folks in the Elder Abuse Division and the advocates that you have there who are advocates for the victims of elder abuse, and all of the years that we've sponsored Placer Protect and held that event for everyone. They're wonderful people and they do a wonderful job amidst probably, it's a really distressing thing to have to help our elder population when people have used them, abused them, and in many cases they're family members that do a lot of that.
I appreciate that. Our Placer Protect team is the gold standard and is seen as a model to follow across the state. We have a beautiful, wonderful, large elder community, but unfortunately that means we are always seeing the latest scams, the latest attempts to try and manipulate and scam our senior citizens. So it's a constant challenge to stay on top of those, and they do it quite well, and most importantly, I'm proud of the advocacy and education they do on the front end to try and prevent crime rather than just responding to it once it does occur.
Exactly.
So I appreciate the comments.
Go back and tell all of them I love working with them.
I absolutely will.
They're wonderful.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Any public comment on this item? Come on up.
Gary McDonald, I just want to say, first of all, congratulations to you, all that were elected and for the first time and then re-elected, and to your assignments as well as chair and vice chair. As executive director of Stand Up Placer and executive director of Lighthouse Counseling and Family Resource Center, I've had the privilege to have multiple interactions with the district attorney's office, the district attorney himself, the assistant district attorneys, and the Placer Protect team, and the VLC team. And I just want to say that every interaction with them has been meaningful and really impactful to the people that we've jointly served. So I would provide my full support for the resolution. And again, thank you, Mr. DA, and thank you all, and thank you, Danielle, as well, for all you do as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else like to make a public comment either in the chambers or online? Then we will close public comment, and if there's any other further conversation, if not, we can take a motion.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Motion by Supervisor Jones, second by Gustafson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Morgan.
Have a wonderful day.
And we are not yet at 10:05, so we will take our first department item, which is item 5. It's the Sheriff's Office, the post-retirement employment resolution for Tracy Bloomfield Kessler. Good morning, Mr. Rogers. Nice to see you.
Good morning, Chair. First, I'd like to say congratulations to the supervisors on your election. And Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Chatney, Mr. Schwab, this is Jerry Rogers with the Placer County Sheriff's Office. Here with me today is Lieutenant Michael Cuevas, who oversees our Dispatcher Services Unit. We are here requesting to please adopt the resolution authorizing the Sheriff's Office to offer Tracy Blumenfeld Kessler post-retirement employment prior to completion of the California Public Employees Retirement System, required 180-day waiting period. Placer County Dispatch Services Supervisor Tracy Blumenfeld Kessler retired effective December 28th, 2024. At the time of her retirement, the Dispatch Services Unit had 7 new employees in the training program, with 2 additional applicants in the pre-employment process, which we anticipate hiring this month. While the Dispatch Services Center currently has its lowest vacancy rate in recent history, the influx of new dispatchers demands significant staffing resources to administer the mandatory training program. The unit has 1 remaining vacant dispatcher position, however, it cannot be filled due to a shortage of available trainers, with some trainers already managing the training of 2 new dispatchers simultaneously. The increased demand of trainers has placed considerable strain on staff responsible for regular coverage of dispatch services unit duties. Sue Blumenfeld Kessler brings over 21 years of experience as a public safety dispatcher for the Placer County Sheriff's Office, including 13 years as a dispatch services supervisor. The Placer County Sheriff's Office requests that Blumenfeld Kessler return as an extra help public safety dispatcher 2 to support the critical functions of the dispatch services unit. And Blumenfeld Kessler employment status will be an extra help, and she will receive an hourly rate of $43.52. Government Code Section 7522.56 stipulates a CalPERS retiree must complete a waiting period of 180 days from their retirement date before employment eligibility is reinstated. However, Government Code Section 7522.56F provides an exception if appointment is necessary to fill a critically needed position before the 180 days has passed. And Government Code Section 7522.56F states a retired person shall not be eligible to be employed pursuant to this section for a period of 180 days following the date of retirement unless he or she meets one of the following conditions. Number one, the employee certifies the nature of the employment and that the appointment is necessary to fill a critically needed position before the 180 days has passed, and the appointment has been approved by the governing body of the employer in a public meeting. This appointment may not be placed on a consent calendar. It is under this exception we request that your board adopt a resolution authorizing Tracy Blumenfeld Kessler to return to employment with the Placer County to fill a critically needed position, ensuring the provisions of essential public safety dispatching services. Funding for this extra help position is available within the Sheriff's Office budget in fiscal year 24-25 under the Sheriff's Dispatch Services unit in cost centers 20005 and programs 20029. And there's no impact to the general fund. And with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate that. Any questions from my colleagues? I have one quick question, Jerry. Certainly understand the need for it. How long do you anticipate utilizing her as a post-PERS?
So as a extra help retired annuitant, it is limited, and so depending on the availability and the need, operational need, yes, unfortunately I don't have an exact answer for you, but
It sounds like it's just really to get these new dispatchers up, trained.
Yeah,
which actually takes a little bit of time, if I recall.
that's correct, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. I will open this item up to the public. Any questions from the public in the audience or anyone online? All right, so seeing none, then we will, there's no additional discussion. I'm happy to have somebody make a motion.
I move approval. I'll second.
All right, a motion by motion by Supervisor Jones, second by Supervisor Gustafson, and Supervisor DiMattei will jump in soon, I'm sure. All right, and with that, all those.
It's awkward at
There's so
first.
many things to learn in this job, right? How to turn on the microphone. Actually, the important part is how to turn off the microphone. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
gentlemen. Appreciate your time. All right, we have a 10:05 timed item. And, you know, let's just slowly walk up for our 10:05 timed item so you don't have to wait, Gina. I'm sure it'll turn quickly to 10:05. And this will be the county executive to annex territory to Community Facilities District 2012-1 and levy a special tax to pay for certain services, annexation number 20. And it is 10:05. All right.
Good.
Good morning, Gina.
Good morning, Chair Gore, members of the board. My name is Gina Olivares with the County Executive Office. The item before your board this morning is a public hearing to consider annexation of territory into Community Facilities District 2012-1 for fire and emergency services. So the action requested is as follows. 1, conduct a public hearing on the annexation of assessor parcel number 495-020-012-000 into Community Facilities District 2012-1, the Sunset Industrial Area Services. Call for an election and declare the results. 2, adopt a resolution annexing the property into Community Facilities District, CFD, 2012-1, Sunset Industrial Area Services for fire and emergency medical services. authorizing the levy of a special tax on the property and directing recording of a special tax lien. 3, introduce and waive oral reading of an ordinance levying special taxes for fiscal year 2025 to 2026 and the following fiscal years. And finally, 4, determine the proposed actions are each exempt from environmental review pursuant to California Environmental Quality Act guidelines, section 15273, and are each in conformity with the Sunset Area Plan / Placer Ranch Specific Plan Environmental Impact Report. So this is an annexation, specifically number 20, for a single parcel in the Sunset Industrial Area. A rate and method of apportionment, or attached as Exhibit 3, is already set, and the new property owner would pay the established fee of 11 cents per square foot, or $1,098.82 per acre per year, whichever is greater. This rate is adjusted each year for inflation, and annexations such as these happen in the development process in accordance with the conditions of approval set by the Community Development Resource Agency. So this concludes my presentation, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you, Gina, appreciate that. Looks like there are no questions from my colleagues. Let's open it up to public comment. If there are any questions from the public. Excuse me? Oh, yes, all right, we're gonna conduct a public hearing, so I'm opening up the public hearing. And let's see if there's any comments from the public and anyone online.
Chair.
And I will close the public hearing, and then I'm going to ask the clerk to announce the ballot count, please.
We received 1 ballot in favor of this.
All right, so it looks like that's approved because there was only 1 ballot. Boy, that's easy. I like those. Man, if all of our elections were that easy, it would be wonderful. All right, and with that, no other further discussion, then I will have somebody move the motion.
I move approval. I'm just,
I will.
I have a whole year of emotions to make up for.
All right, we have a motion from Supervisor Jones, second from Supervisor DiMattei. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
We will move to item number 6, and this is 6A, Loomis Community Park North Parking Lot and Storm Drainage Project, approval and appropriation of park dedication fees, area number 7, Loomis Basin area, and budget amendment. And good morning.
Yes, good morning, Chair Gore, honorable supervisors. My name is Kyle Smith, and I am your principal planner in agricultural parks and natural resources. And as you referenced here, to present the fee request for this project, the Loomis Community Park North Parking Lot and Storm Drainage Project. So if we can move to the next slide, I have that. Thank you.
You have the power.
Of course I do. So Loomis Community Park, as shown on this slide, is bisected into what we call the north and south portion by King Road. The item in front of you today focuses on Loomis Community Park North, that north section above King Road, which is both highlighted and identified with the red line on the slide here. Specifically, this area is the parking lot area for the park, which is also identified on this slide as Holsclaw Road. But it is the primary parking area and drainage facility for Loomis Community Park, as well as the general drainage for that whole basin area between King Road and the freeway. So this is a slide showing the existing parking lot and drainage facility. As you can see here, the asphalt has been eaten away over the years, due primarily to the drainage that flows through. You can sort of see one culvert that pops out nearby the bridge there, but there are a series of 3 culverts on this side and then a couple more on the other side, which transfer water under King Road and into a larger drainage facility. On heavy rain days or after large precipitation events, this facility gets inundated, and this is what has impacted our parking lot facility over the years, many years, decades since this has been in place. And this leads to not only facility impacts, but safety impacts where vehicles face potential issues, and also pedestrians crossing this facility to get to both the ball fields that you can see, but also the other park facilities. Currently, the only accessible route from the parking lot to the ballpark facilities is the bridge that I showed you in previous slides, which sort of pops you out right behind the team's bench. So you have to kind of traverse behind the ball field to get to the park. So our request here today includes a number of actions to implement these improvements to achieve a number of beneficial components, primarily as addressing these existing impacts, also significantly expanding our parking area. There's currently we're currently at about 40 spots there, and our kind of back of the envelope calculations without engineers or designers on staff yet are that we'd increase that by between 10 and 20 additional spots, which would alleviate some of our congestion that we see on league sports days when we have kind of field changeover and four teams coming to the park, four or more teams coming to the park at the same time. Also, like I alluded to, this will provide better and safer access to the park and field facilities by providing more than just that one bridge access over the very large drainage facility. And then the kind of third and one of the primary points is to provide that safe access to the facilities. So safe for both our vehicles parking, but also for our family members and children that are coming out there to play, recreate, and watch play and recreation. So with that, I do have 3 actions on screen that I'm happy to read into the record per council's recommendation. So the first is to approve the use of park dedication fees from recreation area number 7, the Loomis Basin area, for the Loomis Community Park North parking lot and storm drainage project in an amount not to exceed $650,000. Number 2, approve a fiscal year 2024-25 budget amendment number AM01099 to increase appropriations for CC 12085 Parks and Grounds Capital Improvements, project PJ02721 for Loomis Park North in an amount not to exceed $650,000, offset by the use of the park dedication fees from recreation area number 7 for $650,000. And finally, number 3, to determine the proposed actions are exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA guidelines sections 15301 and 15304. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Kyle. I see no questions from my colleagues. Anyone in the public like to make a comment on this item? Or anyone online? Then we will close public comment, and if there's no further discussion.
I do have one statement. I did go out there with Kyle and Ted, kind of officially, but I've been going to that park for quite some time with my kids to use that, and over the time it has eroded and become dangerous, as you see that car that has driven in. Also, there's people who live across the street from the park who are using county parking for their personal use. So I don't know if it could be added into, when it's all repaved and restriped, that it's marked that it's not for overnight use or for public use at night or from the residents who live across the street. So I don't know if that could be added into this proposal as well when it's all restriped, so those people don't park in county stuff overnight.
Yes, that is an excellent point, Mr. Supervisor, and historically we have received complaints from the neighbors across Holsclaw Road. You can see there's 3 there just to the west of the road, both with people parking in their driveways in those overpark situations that I mentioned, or potentially backing into their fences when they're trying to leave. So absolutely, this project would both review the parking lot and redesign so that we have better and more access to the parking area. And then also to clarify those no parking areas and to, and we can absolutely clarify the existing no overnight parking regulations there at the park and along Holsclaw Road. And I do believe that these activities, both the restriping and demarcation of the parking lot versus Holsclaw Road, will give us better capability to affect any other issues that might arise there with demarcating the road versus parking lot parking areas. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
Yeah, I completely agree with the overflow of parking onto county facilities, overnight parking. It's happening throughout many of our parks and facilities. And it would be great to talk about code enforcement or how we can deal with some of those parking violations when they do become persistent. Because we can say no overnight parking, but unless there's some level of supervision and enforcement, it tends to happen. So I know I hear a lot about that at county parking lots throughout District 5 too, so I'm in full support.
Yeah, and you could tell they've been parked there for a while. The truck has a flat tire and obviously hasn't moved for quite a while, so if there is something that...
They're waiting for the spare, I'm sure.
Yeah. Again,
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, and that's when a local resident could call code enforcement to get it addressed, right? But I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
All right, then if no further discussion, would somebody like to make a motion?
I will make a motion to approve this. Do we have to do them individually or do it all at once?
No, it's been read in the record.
Okay, I make a motion to approve
I'll
it.
second that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Supervisor DiMattei, second by Supervisor Jones, and this is a roll call vote.
DiMattei?
Yes.
Jones?
Aye.
Gustafson?
Aye.
Landon?
Yes.
Gore?
Aye. Great, motion carries. Thank you, Kyle, appreciate that. Nice
Cheers,
to
thanks,
have you
Supervisor.
present. Next, we'll move on to item 7A, the SB 863 Mental Health Facility Funding Resolution. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair, Board of Supervisors. Happy New Year. Lisa James with our Senior Project Manager with Facilities Management. I did want to point out before I start, paragraph 3 in the background, I noticed an error in the funding. It says the total project costs remain unchanged at $22,585,000. It should actually read $22,585,040. So that's how I will be reading it. So today, the actions requested is to adopt a resolution authorizing and approving the reallocation of county's cash contribution compatible with the state's lease revenue bond financing to fund project number PJ00084 SB 863 Mental Health Facility, and determine that the requested action is not a project pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act review pursuant to CEQA guidelines sections 13578. Background, on May 24th, 2022, the County of Placer Board of Supervisors adopted a resolution authorizing and approving an increase in county cash contributions to fund the SB 863 Mental Health Facility Project with funding from the following resources. General Fund capital reserves in the amount of $4,295,488. American Rescue Plan Act funds in the amount of $5 million. And the Public Safety Fund in the amount of $3,789,552. These funding sources are compatible with the state of California's lease revenue bond financing. Sorry, that was $9.5 million, the lease revenue bond financing, for total project funding of $22,585,040. After the board approved the May 24th, 2022 resolution, it was determined that the split between the different funding sources needed to be revised. The contribution from the Public Safety Fund was increased to $6,885,510, and the contribution from General Fund capital reserves was reduced to $1,199,530, with no impact on the total project funding amount. On July 30th of 2024, the Board of State Community Corrections issued an amendment to increase the funding available to the county for the SB 863 project by $4,319,842 for a total amount of $13,819,842 from the state's lease revenue bond financing. The total project costs remain unchanged at $22,585,040. The increase in funding from BSCC reduced the county's required cash match from $13,085,040 to $8,765,198. On October 22nd, 2024, the board approved the reallocation of $5 million in ARPA funds from the SB 863 project to the Highway 49 wastewater capacity improvement project. With the July 30th, 2024 BSCC award and the additional $4,319,842 in SB 863 funds and the October 22nd, 2024 reallocation of the $5 million in ARPA funds, the Public Safety Fund will provide an additional $680,158 to offset the updates to the other funding sources. The adoption of this resolution is required by the state lease revenue bond financing to capture the change in the funding source for the SB 863 project. Environmental impact. The requested action is a government fiscal activity that is not a project subject to environmental review pursuant to CEQA guidelines sections 15378. The fiscal impact. The total cost of the project remains unchanged, and the table that's included in the board memo summarizes the funding revisions to date. The adoption of this resolution has no fiscal impact, and there is no additional impact to the general fund. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Lisa. No questions from my colleagues. I have one quick question. So how far along in the process are we for this project?
So as of right now, the schedule for completion is June of this year.
June.
That would be final completion.
Wonderful.
Substantial completion is scheduled for March. So,
all right.
Yeah, getting there.
Yeah, after many, many years. So that's
Yes,
terrific.
yes.
I will open this item up for the public. Any public comment on this item? And anyone online? All right, we'll close public comment, bring it back to the board for action.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Supervisor Jones, second by Supervisor Landon. And all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, we have item 8, Human Resources updates on uncodified schedule of classifications and compensation ordinance. Good morning, Suzanne.
Good morning, Supervisor. Suzanne Holloway, HR Manager, on behalf of Human Resources. Congratulations to everyone newly sworn in, and welcome to Supervisor DiMattei. The item before you today is the result of a fairly lengthy classification study that Human Resources conducted on behalf of the Departments of Public Works, Facilities Management, and Agriculture, Parks, and Natural Resources. We looked at all of the class specifications in the Building Crafts, Equipment Operator, Utility Services, and Parks and Grounds series to ensure that those class specifications were up to date and current. It involved 134 positions. The results of that study indicated that the titling needed to be updated to more clearly define the level of authority and also align with the outside market and the industry in the trades. What's before you today is, I guess I should read the action requested. To introduce an ordinance, waive the oral reading, to amend the uncodified schedule of classifications and compensation ordinance, to basically retitle some of the classifications that were part of that study. Specifically, first-line supervisors will now use the job title of crew supervisor, as those are typically out in the field as working supervisors. Second-line supervisors that were previously titled senior supervisor, it seemed a little clunky and outdated, so therefore we are retitling those to operations supervisor. And as a result of this study, we also noted that there was a lot of overlap between some of the different series, particularly with the tree trimmers, the traffic sign maintenance workers. There was a lot of crossover. So those specific career paths have been collapsed into the broader equipment operator series. This is going to allow for more flexibility in assignments, more upward mobility opportunities for the employees, and again, clarifies what people were actually doing in that study. There are no fiscal impacts to the general fund, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on this.
Thank you, Suzanne. Looks like there are no questions from my colleagues. Anyone in the public like to make a comment? Nobody in the chambers and no one online. We will close public comment and bring it back to the board for action if there's no further discussion.
I'll move approval.
All right, motion by Supervisor Gustafson, second by Supervisor DiMattei. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very
Suzanne.
much.
Item 9 is the Foothill Broadband Expansion Project. Approve agreement with Astound Broadband. Good morning,
Good morning,
Jared.
Chair Gore and members of the board. Dieter Wittenberg with Information Technology. I'm excited to bring this item forward and give you an update today on our efforts around broadband build out in our communities. So just like this says here in front of you, we'll go through an update on our existing projects. I figured it was a good opportunity to share the successes and the progress, I should say, on the previous 3 projects that your board has approved, and to also ask for approval today on our next project, which is the FFA grant award. So I'll give you a little background again, going through the existing projects that are in progress. There were 3 grants that your board had previously approved. I won't read through all the locations, but we made progress on and completed both Project 1 or Grant 1 and Grant 2. Earlier, I think we've announced that previously, and then Grant 3, we made some really good progress where Sheridan, that project has completed, and the other projects are in progress. And I'll give you a little status of what that looks like from our partner Astound, who shared some details around the progress of these projects. And in the graph here, you'll see that the blue area is engineering and permitting, and the percent completion associated with that, and then green is construction completion. Again, Sheridan has already been completed. A lot of progress made in the Loomis community, and they're ahead of schedule with 416 homes that are serviceable already today. And the rest of the projects really are still in that engineering and permitting phase. And one item to note for Suzanne Jones in your district with Folsom Lake Estates, we have been notified that the permits have been approved for that project in that community. So Astound will be working closely with Folsom Lake Estates to give them an update on what's to be expected there. That is a 100% underground project, so that means those streets will be worked on, and people will be frustrated. So we're going to make sure that the provider there does a good job of explaining what to expect. As far as the number of homes that so far have been built out to, as far as available service, I should say, is 2,778. 928 folks have enrolled so far, which is a little bit over 33% of a take rate for them, which is exciting, and we would expect to see that increase as they continue to build out. The map here really is just the visual behind all the work that's happening around broadband. The green areas that are shown are the completed project areas. Blue are in progress, and then today we will be coming forward to ask for approval on the FFA grant projects, which are highlighted here in orange. And with that said, I know on September 24th, your board did approve the award from the CPUC in the amount of $23,752,674 for the Foothills Broadband Expansion project in our county. That project will bring fiber to the home to the communities of Applegate, Cape Horn, Magra, and Alta. And just a point of clarification, previously I've had folks in those communities or around surrounding communities like Dutch Flat that said, hey, we got left out. You did not get left out in this. Dutch Flat is included in that Alta community. We just didn't name every little pocket within these areas. So excited for that. It's 3,825 locations throughout the county in that area. And it is a private-public partnership with Astound Broadband, which brings me to the requested action, and I'll read through this, so forgive me for going through this quickly. Approve an agreement with Astound Broadband for the implementation of the Foothills Broadband Expansion Project. in the amount of $23,752,674 for the period of January 15th, 2025 through December 31st, 2026, funded by the California Public Utilities Commission grant award that we received on August 22nd of 24 and subject to concurrence with County Council and Risk Management. Secondly, approve a fiscal year budget amendment for fiscal year 24-25, number AM 01104 for CC 01004, Information Technology Services in the amount of $23,752,674 with offsetting grant revenue, funding revenue. Authorize the Chief Information Officer or designee to sign the agreement. And lastly is determine the action requested is exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA guidelines 15301, 15303D, and 15304F. With all that said, are there any questions that I can answer?
Thank you, Dieter. Supervisor Landon.
Thank you. Thanks, Dieter. I have one question related to Starlink. Just seeing the more broad accessibility of Starlink for customers, do you see that in the future kind of impacting the rollout of broadband efforts, or do you see it not impacting it?
I mean, I think that there's definitely a place for Starlink, and it will, it's a choice, I guess, for individuals. And in some areas, we've looked up in the foothills or up in the Sierras more, where it's challenging for Starlink because of the trees. So there is an impact potentially on its build out. I think the bigger challenge we have is around grant funding and what that looks like, and looking at the next round of the federal funding through BEAD. There are not many areas in our county that qualify for that funding any longer. So we're hoping to see more of that, but there are some pockets. So it will, I don't know what the board's appetite will be in the future to fund additional projects, but I think that we've taken, I'd say, the lion's share of the populous areas that we knew were underserved, and have really attacked those. There are still some that are outstanding. Starlink's a great solution for those folks, again, if it works. If there's no, interference as far as trees, right? They need to have clear line of sight of the sky.
Right. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Looks like there are no other questions. I will open this up to the public. Any public comment on this item? No one in the chambers? Anyone online?
I see none, Chair.
All right, we will close public comment and bring this item back to the board for action.
Well, I'd like to make a motion. Do I need to do separate motions, Karen?
It was read in the record.
Okay, so I will make a motion to approve.
And I'd like to second that motion, but I'd also like to thank you, Dita, for working so hard with my community, Folsom Lake Estates. I know they've probably not given you any rest in the last couple of years.
They've been great.
But I'll work closely with them now as well to make sure that everything goes.
We'll tie in with your office as well,
Okay.
so you know exactly where we're at project-wise.
I really appreciate that.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second, and roll call, please.
DiMattei?
Yes.
Jones?
Aye.
Gustafson?
Aye.
Landon?
Yes.
Gore?
Aye. Motion passes.
you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have item 10. This is the 2025 Board and Commission assignments. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning. Good morning, board members. Again, congratulations to everyone who won their reelection, and Anthony, looking forward to working with you as a supervisor now. So Kelsey is handing out, I have one change to this list, so we're going to review the boards and commissions to which supervisors are appointed. We have one change to the list that from what was originally placed in the packet. We are removing and adding a couple of boards and commissions, and I just wanted to clarify that really quickly. One of the ones that was inadvertently removed was the Roseville City Council Placer County Liaison Committee. That committee actually needs to remain active, as there are 3 board members that represent the Roseville area, so we need to keep that one active. We are removing, however, Auburn City Council Placer County Liaison Committee. That's because this has 1 board member serving that city. That board member actively is already meeting and working with the city of Auburn. So we just don't need it listed on here. If there are issues, it will be Supervisor Gustafson that meets with the city of Auburn as she is happening. So removal from the list does not mean that those meetings are not taking place and are not actively happening. The other one removed was the Eastern Placer Fire Service Ad Hoc. That one met, served its purpose, and is now no longer meeting at this time. And then we have also added the Sunset Area Placer Ranch Enhanced Infrastructure Finance District. This was added in November. Appointments will be made today, ratified at your next meeting, and then many more items to come on this before it's finalized, but we wanted to get it on the list for review each year. So I wanted to just start off and mention those ones. And then we'll dive into the appointments. So, as you guys know, staff brings this forward as a recommendation based off of input that we receive from the supervisors. This input includes the ones that you want to serve on, ones that you want to be removed from, things such as that. We take into consideration where we have no competing interests. And then we also take into consideration supervisors' backgrounds. And then we assign it as fit. Ultimately, the decision is your guys's, whether it is, you go with staff recommendation or make changes. So this lays out what the total primary seats would look like if you went with the recommendations as they are with staff right now. As you can see, it is pretty close. So with that said, we will dive into it. I've split it up. There's 3 groups. There's the Tier 1 committees, which tend to be the more demanding committees that supervisors serve on. We're going to start off with where we have no requested changes, and then we will dive into where we need board direction. So,
can I ask a quick question? If we have questions throughout, should we wait till the end if we have on a slide?
No,
Or should
dive
we
in.
just do it?
Yeah, I think we should dive in. So let's look at each slide, and Megan can present, and then we can dive in on each slide. How does that sound?
I would appreciate that. Thank
Great.
you. So National Association of Counties, NACO. So serving District 4 as the primary with District 1 as the alternate. It is my understanding there may be a request for changes on this one. So if there are, I'm happy to hear that now.
Yes, I did want to request, if possible, I know Supervisor Gore is the alternate. I wanted to ask if maybe because of my appointment on the NACO Agricultural Committee, since I'm attending all of the conferences anyway, it'd be great if I could serve as alternate. Not super important, but if you're willing to let it go.
I am happy to have you be the alternate. So if nobody else objects, let's go ahead and make Supervisor Landon the alternate for NACO.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And then Sacramento Area Council of Governments. So District 4 is serving as the primary with District 1 as the alternate on this. There were no requests for changes here. Okay. Next slide. Criminal Justice Policy Committee. So this one, I should mention, there were obviously with Supervisor Holmes' retirement and Supervisor DiMatteo's election, when there are a lot of changes that have to be brought forward due to needing the appointment with the vacancy happening. The other thing that we took into place was, so on this one, Criminal Justice Policy Committee, Supervisor Gustafson had been serving as the alternate on that. So the way the thought process of staff was that we would move the alternate into the primary position and then move Supervisor DiMatteo into the alternate position. That way we are keeping the knowledge base on those committees. The committees aren't, everything's moving through while the new supervisor is still getting a chance to learn and come into that. So with these ones, the change for criminal justice is District 5 moving into a primary seat and District 3 moving into an alternate. CSAC, this is one where we had appointed Supervisor Gore in October at the request of CSAC. We are now asking for District 3 to be moved into the alternate position and have that appointment of alternate solidified. And then Greater Sacramento Area Economic Council. So currently District 1 is the primary with District 4 as the alternate. We do have a request from District 4 to move into the primary position on that, so I will ask for direction there.
Okay. Conversations?
Yeah, on GSAC. Based on the fact that this was originally a committee that was represented Thank you. I forget so easily. Based on the fact that this committee was represented by my predecessor, I requested to continue that representation 4 years ago. And of course, I was denied that representation. And basically going over all of the last assignments over the last 4 years, and actually prior to that, no other supervisor was ever denied primary representation to any of the committees except for me. I was the only supervisor for any of us sitting on this dais, including the last several supervisors. I've gone over these charts since 2018, and no one's ever been denied to continue in as the primary in a committee that supervisor represented. So I'm going to say one more time, as my overwhelming reelection, I believe it demonstrates my constituents' desire to have me continue the representation, and I will say to continue the representation of my predecessor in every facet that he represented them, which includes this particular council. So now at this point, I really do want to demand that I be given back this committee that my predecessor had. I've waited for 4 years to get this back, and I would like to have it back, please. As I said, there's been no other supervisor on this dais or supervisors back to 2018 that were denied a committee that their predecessor represented.
Well, I appreciate that perspective, and I will share that. I understand your desire to serve on that. I have had the opportunity to serve as our representative to that board for the last 6 years, and I have a different perspective, and in that we make appointments based on our backgrounds. So Anthony, having a background of ag and water, he's looking at some of those areas, economic development background myself, and I don't think it's about your constituents saying they want you to be in that role. It's really about who's best served on those boards. I did share with you and passed over SACOG to you last year, and you gave me the Economic Development Board to coincide with GSEC, and I'd like to continue serving on those boards.
You know, I think it's challenging for all of us because I would love to serve on a whole bunch of these committees, right? And my predecessor did serve on some that I didn't request because I felt others were adequately serving and I didn't want to. So I wasn't rejected because I didn't ask, but I certainly would be interested in serving on CSAC and SACOG, and I've had people approach me on various things. Why aren't you on there? So I think we really are trying to balance background and knowledge base, as well as balancing how many committees we have and the importance of those committees. And so, you know, I'm open to that, but I wouldn't assume that just because we didn't fight about it, I got everything I wanted. I definitely didn't ask for some that I wanted because I knew others really wanted them. So this is a challenge because we're all very interested in serving our communities, and I commend us all for that. And trying to find that balance is what we do on almost every public policy decision we make. And then we come to our committees and we have to do the same thing, is try to find that balance. So if that's helpful at all to any of you, but I'm certainly willing to continue to discuss this. I do want to honor the expertise and background of various individuals on these committees.
Just one comment from myself. With an ag background and water background, my emphasis in college was on economics and finance. So I think I have a lot to bring to this, but I'm not, as a, I guess, the rookie here, not going to try to push my way to get onto this. Just from a business aspect, I think that sometimes change is good, that we get a different perspective from different board members, maybe to switch some things up. So I'm not opposed or in favor of, I guess, keeping what has been, but I think that that's just my perspective. You know, with my economic background as well, I'm not going to, I would like to be on this, but I see that you guys have more experience here. But in my recommendation, I think sometimes change is good, so that's my comment.
Supervisor Landon?
Well, I do not want to be on this, so I will not fight for it. But I did want to say, I mean, Suzanne, I definitely understand where you're coming from, and I could see why it would be even kind of hurtful just coming in and wanting something that your predecessor had and being denied it. Looking at the tier 1 assignments, I would say, because with you have three of the tier 1 assignments as primary, and then GSEC is an alternate. So I feel like fairness-wise, for you to have 3 tier 1 primaries is good. I mean, I know it doesn't answer the call for GSEC, but I would say I'm fine with it staying the way it is, unless there's something else that needed to get moved around. But that's just my thought.
I think just the one other thing I would say is that we are currently still working with Bosch, and particularly the workforce development work that's going on with that Bosch contract coming to Roseville. I've been working with Gloria, with our economic development team, and actually the city of Roseville, and actually the Invest Health Roseville team, about how we're actually bringing jobs to Bosch. And so I'd really like to continue survey on GSEC with the Bosch aspect too, because it's a lot of work that's still moving forward.
Well, and if you speak of experience, because I've not really delved much into this, but I was a small business owner in my community in Granite Bay in Placer County for years, and I was also a small business owner in Saudi Arabia, an import business in Saudi Arabia. I've also set up nonprofit organizations as well. So I do come steeped in experience in the business world, like I said, especially even overseas in a foreign country as well. So it's not to say that I don't have plenty of experience in that realm, but I really do want to serve back on that committee again. If it required, I would give up one of my tier 1, just so that I don't have throw it out of balance, and maybe discuss the ability of relooking this next year, perhaps after Bosch finally gets into Roseville and gets going. Finish up with Bosch, and then let's revisit it next year.
Well, and we can revisit it and then talk about that. Currently, you've got like 3 of the tier 3s.
Yeah,
and
same as District 2.
How do we change that up? District 2.
Yeah, same as District 2. And I think it's because I do not have the district central committees as the rest of you do. That's one reason that I don't have other committees, as well as veterans, the veterans.
All boards.
Yeah. I'm the only one who does not have one of those. So you all will have that I won't have. Yeah, I mean, there's reasons why our numbers don't align in certain aspects. But yeah, it's important to me to serve on that committee.
If I could interject here just briefly. So it sounds like there may be willingness for a compromise for this year if we are able to look at it next year. What I wanted to point out that happened this year that we typically don't have is we had an election that was super close. And so we did not get these out to you guys for review because we needed to wait until we knew who our District 3 supervisor was. You will have more time for review, in speaking with CEO, we're going to start looking at these a lot earlier in the year so that we can better be aligned for where there are projects still pending, because we don't want to have transition in the middle of things like Bosch, that sort of thing. So I just wanted to give that, kind of briefing for next year, that this will come to you much earlier next year than it did this year. You guys were given a very short amount of time, which was just due to Supervisor DiMattei.
Thank you. And I think, yeah, it's all your fault.
Just start blaming you now.
And I would just share for myself right now, with being chair of the board, I'll be chair of WAPN this next year, and I've got a chair of another board. I am not interested in making changes with changing over to a new board, whether that's PCTPA or SACOG again, just for my own capacity. And so happy to talk about, other ones next year. But right now, just for my capacity, it's like taking on the chair of a couple of boards, as you know, means a lot of extra work. And so I'm not really ready to switch to PCTPA or SACOG, just for my own sanity.
Okay. So we will move on. So RCRC, this one was an appointment with the retirement of Supervisor Holmes. We were required to make this appointment in December so that we would have a primary position in place for events happening in January. So we, at your December 10th meeting, we appointed Supervisor Landon as the primary. She had been serving as the alternate. Golden State Connect Authority and Golden State Finance Authority are both subcommittees off of RCRC. So our practice has always been that the primary serving on RCRC will also be the primary for those other two. With that, we have put Supervisor DiMattei in as the alternate for all three of these as well. Air pollution control, this one is no recommended changes. We are now into general appointments. Let me clarify. We're into general appointments, and we're going to start off again with where we have no recommended changes. So air pollution control, no recommended changes. Area 4 Agency on Aging, no changes, though I should note that Supervisor DiMattei is being appointed as the alternate to this. And then Flood Control and Water Conservation District Board of Directors, no changes there as well. South Placer Regional Wastewater Authority, I believe that we may possibly have discussion for a change on this one that came after publication of the PowerPoint. So I will hand it over to the board for that.
Yes, I received a call from a Rockland Council member yesterday asking if I would be willing to step aside on this committee so that their representative could sit on SPWA, and I would be happy to do that if Supervisor DiMattei would like it.
Yes, I would. I actually got the phone call, I think, right after you did, asking me to sit on this, and yes, I would be honored to take your spot.
Great.
Any other conversation about that? That'd be great. It's really, we actually have some challenging issues coming up, so that's why they want you.
Right. Great.
Supervisor Jones, did you want to make a comment? Your light's on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Apologies.
So great. Happy to
Okay.
have you on SPWA.
So we will make that change with District 3
Thing.
serving as primary.
I forgot to mention, I know staff had requested or recommended that we have an alternate for
Yes,
that
please.
one. So I'd still be happy to be the alternate if you want that. Or
Yes, I think that would be great, and I know I'll be missing the first meeting, so it'd be helpful to have you there. And
I won't be there.
oh, you won't? That's
I'm
right.
fine.
I think I need to reach out to Sean and let him know.
So I'll be there by myself. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We do have a resolution, a standing resolution regarding alternates, where when we have a situation such as this, where the primary and the alternate are not able to attend, the CEO can designate an alternate. So I can provide you with the resolution, and you can determine if that's
Well,
something
and
you
I
wanna
think in
do.
this case, we can have Supervisor Landon serve as the alternate. I think that's helpful. Because it's a board that actually now only meets, used to be twice. I think we're doing it 4 times annually.
Every quarter.
Okay, so we will make those changes, and then first 5, children and families, no changes recommended to that. Okay, so County Audit Committee, Supervisor DiMattei being appointed, Economic Development Board. This one has a change of Supervisor DiMattei being appointed, replacing Supervisor Landon on this. Golden Sierra Job Training Agency Governing Board, again, no changes to this other than the appointment of Supervisor DiMattei. Same with LAFCO. RAND Board, Local Remote Access, the RAND Board, Supervisor DiMattei being appointed. Middle Fork, Supervisor DiMattei moving into the primary seat for that. And then same for Older Adult, Pioneer Community Energy, and Placer County Behavioral Health Advisory Board, which was previously the Mental Health, Drug and Alcohol Advisory Board. So now we get into staff recommended changes. So Placer County Transportation Planning Agency, appointment of Supervisor DiMattei. Same for Sparta Subcommittee Policy Advisory. Sierra Sacramento Valley Emergency Medical Services Agency. So the staff recommendation was to place District 5 as the primary on this, with District 1 as the alternate. There was some expression from other supervisors of possibly wanting to serve, so I will let anyone speak to that if they want to, and if not, we'll just move on.
Thank you. I mean, I have no preference. So if somebody wants to be the alternate or somebody wants to serve, I mean, you're interested in serving?
Yeah, I was interested in serving on this. I've been approached by several of the local fire districts in my area to serve on this.
I think that makes sense with the number of fire districts you have. Does somebody else want to serve as alternate? I just want to make that open because I don't need to. Yeah.
I can give just a recommendation on this if helpful. You know, there is obviously with the service on LAFCO, there is a lot happening through LAFCO that involves fire districts and things like that, and it is beneficial for Supervisor Gustafson serving as the primary on this, just the knowledge on all. And so Supervisor DiMattei, if you were interested in moving into that alternate spot, it would keep consistency there. Okay.
Okay, so then we'll move that to District 3.
Okay. Sunset Area Placer Ranch Enhanced Infrastructure Finance Committee. These appointments were made at your November 5th meeting. We're then going to ratify them again at your November 21st because apparently I just really enjoy bringing this one forward. So there's that one, no changes there. And then Supervisor DiMattei taking the Treasury Review Panel. So now we're moving into the district-centric committees and where we have no changes. Consolidated Oversight Board of the successor agencies, no changes to this. Placer Conservation Authority, South Placer Regional Transportation Authority, and Sierra Nevada Conservancy. Yes, Super.
I have a question. So
Yes.
the South Placer Regional Transportation Authority, Sparta, right? That's typically, right, the PCTPA board member, but why then would I be the alternate? Because wouldn't that be the other PCTPA board member? Because I don't go to the PCTPA board meeting.
It would make sense, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm confused on, we have Sparta, and then we have a Sparta subcommittee.
Is there
Wait,
actually a?
And
It's never met.
the subcommittee may not meet, and so there are challenges here with some of this where there are committees, and we're going to come up to another one on this list as well, where they don't disband the committee because they want it in place should it need to meet.
Got it.
Right.
But it doesn't actually meet. So yes, you are correct.
In 4 years, it's not met, and so I'm getting dinged for being a member of a committee that has never met.
Yes, I apologize for that. It's not ours. But that is, it is, you know, we do leave it in place. Oftentimes, we will leave committees in place because it is quicker to have the appointments in place should the committee need to meet than try and wait for a board meeting to appoint members if they have an urgent issue, which is why you will see, I believe there's 2 of these. Now, that said, we're not required to make the appointment to it. That has been our standard policy.
I think I'll inquire with Click to see, I mean, it's a policy advisory committee, and I don't know why it doesn't just come within the Sparta board.
Absolutely.
Because,
And if they want to
like I
do it
said-
that way, we will absolutely remove it from the list.
Because I get dinged for being a member of that board when it never meets, has never met in 4 years.
I will happily remove any of these from the list.
Are you referring to the Sparta subcommittee?
Yeah.
Okay, not the Sparta, because Sparta
No,
does.
Sparta, I'm on, yeah. in
So the
fact, I'm
one
chair of
prior,
this year.
Sparta subcommittee,
Yeah.
which has myself as primary and District 4 as primary, and then
Right.
that's the subcommittee, yeah.
And we've never met, 4 years.
So it'd be worth checking with
Yeah, I will, I'll
Matt
inquire
Click
with
and
him.
finding out. But it doesn't make sense to have me as on there since I'm not on PCTPA, so we would switch those to like
D3
4 and
D3
3.
is
4 and
on.
3.
Yeah, 4 and 3.
Is on
And then let's find out if that
PCTPA.
subcommittee is even,
Makes
that
sense.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you, Megan.
Of course. Thank you. Okay, diving back in.
Umbrella.
This is sort of the Cindy show here at this point, and why she can't serve on anything else. So Tahoe Conservancy, TRPA, Tahoe Transportation District, and Truckee Airport Land Use Commission. No changes recommended to these. And then Western Placer Waste Management Authority, no recommended changes to this one either. So Highway 65 Joint Powers Authority, we're now moving into where we do request changes. Just the appointment of District 3. Lincoln Sewer Maintenance District Wastewater Authority, JPA. Staff has 2 requests on this one. We would like to put the District 5 as a primary on this. We would also like to add this as district centric for District 5. Currently, it is only District 2 centric, but because this serves North Auburn, which is in District 5's boundaries, we believe that it would be beneficial to have both those districts on there representing it.
And that's why Jim stayed on this, because he was representing his previous district representation.
One question on this too, I think staff had requested we also get an alternate
Yes,
on this one.
there is. So the JPA section 7.3 allows for an alternate, and so we would like to appoint an alternate to this one, if possible.
Who loves wastewater?
I mean,
Anyone?
I don't mind, or,
Well, if I'm on South Placer, then it makes sense to be on the alternate to this as well, so you don't have to deal with wastewater.
oh, I'm already on
Yes,
wastewater.
Well, I mean, yeah, you don't have
I've
to
been
do
doing
more.
wastewater for 12 years. That's
That's true.
exciting.
Yeah.
It's
So
a-
I don't
it's-
mind being alternate to actually get involved with it and learn more about it too, so.
Yeah, that's
I'll
that's
take
fine.
that seat.
Okay.
Roseville City Council, Placer County Liaison Committee. So we've done something on this one that may seem a little odd. I just want to explain it. So District 1, we have appointed as the primary. This is, as I said earlier, this one is represented by 3 districts. So I would love to appoint all 3 of you as a primary, but I would then have a Brown Act violation, and Karen would be very upset with me for that. So what we are proposing to do as the alternate is that we would have District 1 as the primary, and then Districts 4 and Districts 2 would serve as alternates, and they would come in dependent upon the topics and which area was impacted in those topics. Now, that said, you could also, Supervisor Gore, if you did not want to attend the meeting, you could also have both primaries attend. It just gives us the best representation on it and shows clearly to the public that we are not violating any Brown Act, and we will not at any point in time have 3 supervisors attending a meeting with the city.
That sounds great to me.
What do you think, Supervisor Jones?
Sure, that works. Because I know I have the kind of the economic heart of Roseville with the mall, gallery, and all of those areas, and you have West Roseville. So yeah, I think it's a good balance.
Yeah, and like I said, with this, we're able to shift it in any way, the way that we've done it. It doesn't, the primary does not have to be at the meeting, both alternates could.
Okay.
Just as long as not all 3 of you are.
All right, that sounds good. Thank you.
So, and then going into a committee, again, that we, has not met. So we've had a lot of conversations around Tribal County Advisory Committee. This committee has not met in the 15 years, I believe it's been. I mean, it is, yes. So it's another one that we have kept on the books solely for the ability if something comes up. Staff's recommendation is to move this district centric to District 2 and District 5 because the casino lies within District 2 and tribal land lies within District 5. It is a little bit silly to have the conversation about who is being appointed as it doesn't meet, but we do make the appointment. I think it's also beneficial to point out that it should this committee need to meet, I do believe that there would be input provided on who the right players are given the topic. There is a lot of topics that can come up in this arena. They're not all going to be related necessarily to the casino, and so you know, our recommendation is if you just base it off of the clear district centric of it, then you would go 2 and 5. But I also think that this might be worth further conversation of do we need to continue appointing to it?
Yeah, I mean, most recently I've been meeting on the Meadow Vista property, the Simpson Ranch, and some of the issues there, but I've just been meeting directly with the tribe on that, and we haven't had a committee meeting. And so, you know, I think personally it's one that we probably don't need, but I'd want to consult with the tribe before we took it off, and just said, you know, leave it to the chair. If an issue comes up, you appoint a committee at that point if there's an issue. But if it's been 15 years since there's been a meeting, seems like maybe that's one that we could.
So my understanding of the history on this is that this was originally formed when the casino, and Karen, please stop me at any point in time. This was originally formed when the casino was coming forward. At that time, we just really didn't have a relationship with the tribe, and so we needed a way to meet and discuss and kind of, you know, create the relationships that now have been in place and are well established amongst all of you and the tribe. So that was really sort of the history behind it. I don't know the topics necessarily that all came forward to it, so I don't want to speak to that, but my understanding was the initial thought process was the creation for the relationships. Those are well established at this point.
My recommendation is you don't disband it right now. I think there needs to be a larger conversation with the tribe. I think this is important for the tribe, even though they haven't met. Things can change pretty quickly out there.
Just one comment. I was approached by the tribe and was asked to sit on this committee. If I know it's not in my district, there's no casinos or anything tribal going in District 3 that, as far as I know. But I was approached and asked to sit on this committee if it's all possible by the tribe.
I would be happy to step aside and I mean, if they would like and are requesting Anthony, then I would say I'm more than happy to.
But being it's in your district, then.
Well, but also as Cindy mentioned, I
Cindy
mean,
as
so
well.
much of the tribal land is in her district.
true.
I'm fine stepping aside too, so whichever.
Well, I don't want to be there by
Shanti.
myself.
You're on your own island.
I'm on my own, thank you.
No, I mean, I honor that we're all have good relationships and want to continue those strong relationships, so.
I say just keep the two of you, and if there's ever an issue with the casino, I'm sure that I will hear about it and I will get to meet on it, so.
And we'll come to you and discuss it.
And I do think we ought to just reach out and say, is it necessary?
Right.
So that we're not spending time every year pointing to a board that's not meeting, like this other subcommittee that doesn't meet. So we can do that as well. So where did we land?
I think Shanti suggested
So it'd be 3 and 5.
5 and 3.
Thank you.
Okay, so these next committees, these are appointments that are set by district or term. So legislative committee is the chair and vice chair, so that'll be District 1 and District 2. The Veterans Advisory Council, so this one is a little bit different, and I do believe we have Steve on the line if you have questions, but I'll do my best to give the explanation on this. So last year, the Veterans Advisory Council brought forward changes to their bylaws, having board members serve annually on the council. The hope was that, you know, it would give the board member a chance to meet with the Veterans Advisory Council and have, you know, receive input from them on what's happening, and then, you know, give input. What we found with that annual is that you may actually have a board member that doesn't ever meet on the council. The other thing is that 4 years to go is a really long time to not have meetings with the Veterans Advisory Council and not have that one-on-one interaction on what is happening with our veterans, which is it's a very important council to receive input from. So this morning, under consent, we amended bylaws for this to move that rotation to quarterly. And this is what it would look like quarterly. So it would be District 3 for January, District 4 for April, District 5 in July, and then back to District 1 in October. So if there are no questions, we'll move forward with that. But the thought process behind that was that it ensured that you guys were regularly being briefed on what is happening with our veterans.
So next year, does 2 step in and who
I
steps
was
out?
on it all last year.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
We just got her out. She's
I'm tired out. Good to know.
So yes, yeah, so we will continue that rotation. And then the Veterans Memorial Hall Boards, same thing, so served by the district. We go to staff appointments. We've done these a little bit differently. Historically, we have kind of put in the staff person's name at this meeting. In speaking with Daniel, we felt it was better to do CEO or designee. It makes it cleaner and easier for changes to be made as are necessary. So that is how we are requesting this.
I, again, was approached by them for Mountain County's water during my campaign, if I was to win, to sit on their board. So just to throw that out there.
So Mountain Counties Water Association has an oddity one where we appoint the CEO or designee, and then they will send a request for election, and at which point the CEO would, the CEO would then recommend the board member, and then the election takes place through their association, and then the board member is on.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's interesting. Well, I'm glad you're interested. If you'd like to do it, I don't think there's any problem with having you do it.
Nope.
Right? But then it has to go through their process. I mean, do you really want to sit on the Mountain Counties Water Association's board? No. You don't have other things to do?
Throw it to the rookie. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's great, Anthony.
Okay.
Okay. So with that, we are done. So the action requested is review and approve staff recommendations of appointments or provide changes of appointments to the 2025 boards and commissions to which supervisors are appointed, and review and approve the list of 2025 boards and commissions to which supervisors are appointed. Again, just a notation that we are approving the amended list provided to you this morning.
And I'd recommend a change to the number 1 that would say, review and approve staff recommendations of appointments and changes of appointments. And the rest would be the same.
Thank you, and that means that we don't have to bring this back.
Correct.
It does.
Thank you, that is helpful. No need to bring it back in 2 weeks.
You do have to see if there's public who wants to.
All right, public comment on this item, unless there's no other comments from us. Public, and anybody online?
I see none, Chair.
All right.
I have additional
yes.
comments, because I did want to point out that in my D4, you have to look at D4. Yes, I have 3 committees in the primary tier. In the primary general, though, however, I've only basically had 4 committees since that subcommittee for policy never meets. Primary, for my district primary, I have 1 because there aren't any committees that are suitable for D4 on that district central. So I have basically had 8 committees now for all last 4 years. I've had the least amount of committees of all of us consistently for the last 4 years. Nothing has increased in 4 years.
Oh, and I had seen that, and so one of the things I thought would happen, and maybe this is a conversation with Supervisor DeMattei, is that Supervisor Holmes had a number of the Health and Human Services boards, older adult, mental health, a couple of different things, and I always thought that he had a lot. And I don't know if there are some that you would be interested in taking from District 3, because we've put a lot on your plate, and we've added some things to your plate. So I don't know if there's some things that it would make sense.
Not OAAC, because I served on that committee for 6 years.
I don't mind giving any of those up, so it's up to you guys. If you want them, they're up for grabs. If not, I'll be more than happy to do what I have to do.
I'll review and see, I'll talk with you,
Okay.
discuss.
No, because I think that's a fair point.
Yeah, Supervisor Holmes had a lot. When I looked at
Yes.
the list, I'm like, okay, well, he's been here a long time, so obviously he had the experience to do all that. I do not. So if there is something that's on there that somebody wants, I'd be more than happy to give it up. So we can talk about it. If it doesn't need to be approved today, then
what I was going to say is we can make these appointments as they are today, and that does not lock them in for the entire year. We can bring back individual ones as needed. So I'm happy to do that. If there are changes that down the line that you guys would like to see, I will happily bring this back.
Well, and it can just be even a couple of conversations, right? Like if it's older adult or first 5.
It won't be
or
OAAC.
first 5 or behavioral health or a couple of other ones. Then it can always be brought back.
OAAC is older adults. I already serve on the agency area for
Oh, I meant
agency on
behavioral
aging.
health. Sorry, Suzanne.
One of the things we might talk about in our governance workshop is some other subcommittees of the board to study detailed issues like housing, or, some other, we might want to talk about other committees that can specialize in some of these areas, because we have, when I look at forestry, when I look at housing, having more consistent board member participation might help assist staff in guiding them. So I hope that in governance we can actually, even talk about some additional committees. I'm used to working in committee structure that helps set policy and recommendations to the full board by two members of the board that really delve in and look at it. So that might be an opportunity as well in governance to talk about these committees and how we work together to represent our constituents.
That's actually a good idea. We could add that to the list of governance topics.
I agree.
And if staff has a recommendation of, you know what, it would be really good if we studied this, that could be brought to us. Any other conversations, Supervisor Landon or DiMattei?
Oh, no, sorry.
All right.
Oh, sorry, I'm good.
And then I needed to open it up to the public, which I don't think I have done. No public here, any public online?
No one online, Chair.
All right, well then I will bring it back to the board.
With the changes that were suggested in the discussion.
I'll second that.
All right, so motion by Supervisor Gustafson, second by Supervisor DiMattei. Roll call?
Nope. Just all those in favor.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Megan, very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your work on this. It's not easy. And then we will move to county council and closed session is next.
That's correct. The board will now adjourn to closed session to consider one item of existing litigation, one potential case under anticipated litigation, and one item of labor.
All right, thank you.
The mistake was I went to Cambridge and didn't have it. We're not on record.
All right, we are back from closed session. I'll have county council report out.
The board met in closed session to consider the following. Under existing litigation, McKinnon versus County of Placer, the board heard a report and provided direction by a 5-0 vote. On anticipated litigation, one potential case, the board heard a report and provided direction, no vote taken. On labor, the board heard a report, no action was requested or taken. That concludes the report out of closed session.
Thank you, Karen. And with that, there's no further business before the board. We will adjourn until our next meeting, which is January 21st. Thanks, everyone.